All right, we're live, and hey, this is the live Q&A for Thanksgiving. And heck, man, we'll address any questions you might have about Thanksgiving and the holidays. But if you have other questions, we're going to contact those as well. So, hey, first, before we get started, go ahead. Type in the chat box. Let me know where are you watching from. So, hey, I know everybody has been waiting for a long time, and they're like, hey, where's Rebecca? We miss Rebecca. We want Rebecca back live. So, hey, today, this is her first day back live. She's been here, as you got my email. Hey, she's been around, but she's been gone for so long. She's kind of easing back into it, and she's been busy just kind of catching up on everything. So, anyway, hey, we're live today. We're having a good time, and we're just going to catch up. So, we're going to answer questions today. So, hey, go ahead in the chat box. Let us know where you're from. And hey, what questions do you have? Hey, about Thanksgiving, about holidays, hey, anything, really anything. So, hey, there's Rebecca watching from Toronto, Canada. So, hey, welcome, Rebel. And hey, there's Tess from New Jersey, USA. Hey, Tess, there's a lot of Ticos. They will go to New Jersey whenever they're there for a short time. It's one of the most popular places for Ticos when they go visit or even live in United States for a while. Hey, there's Doug. Look out, Devil Dog. Uh-oh, look out. He says, hello, Miss Rebecca.
Hey, Doug. Yeah, when we ask, when we meet Ticos for the first time, we say, so, they'll ask us where we're from, and they'll say that they've been to the United States, and what would you say, 98% of the time they have been to New Jersey.
I mean, almost as soon as we see a Tico and they say, they've been to the United States, I say, let me guess, you went to New Jersey. Yeah, how did you know? So it really is just too funny.
The place to go, kind of like if the Canadians go to Canadian Hill over in Esterios.
Right. There's a popular Canadian Hill over there. Yeah. Well, kind of like Chinatown, right? I mean,
you want to go where you can find some kindred spirits, some culture.
Yeah. Yeah, Randall, we live way up. Okay, so we're in the Palo-Celadon area, and we live way, way up in the mountains over in the Para-Celadon area near to San Isidro. Oh, check out, there's Jennifer, who's Tom and Jennifer from Louisiana. Hey, that's some of our neighbors in Louisiana. Hey, what is the weather like over in Louisiana right now, Jennifer? So Kevin is like, I'm hoping that at some point you'll film your garden. Well, I am hoping so real soon, too. Right now, we have a very small garden because I've been really super, super busy on building the house. And after we get done building the tiny house, then we're going to actually put up the garden house. And then when we put up the garden house, well, then I'm really going to set up the garden super nice. Right now, we just got a hodgepodge of a little this, a little that. But once we put up the garden house, then we're going to set it up properly. So that we can.
Now we're working our compost.
Yeah, right. So, we've got a lot of things going right now. Jennifer says that in Louisiana, it's cold, cloudy, and about 56 degrees. So I don't like cold weather. So right here, it's super nice right now. I think it's probably about 75, 80 degrees right now. And that's if you were standing in the sun. Yeah, real soon, Kevin, and all those people that are wondering, real soon you're going to start seeing more and more of our off-grid videos. So we're going to be putting up more and more of those type videos because, surprisingly, there are a lot of people. It's surprising. A lot of people who right now are wanting to know more and more about not necessarily just off-grid, but really, how to have a garden, how to just grow a little bit of stuff, right? Where, it seems like that's kind of a dying art. There's not a lot of people doing that. I grew up, my father had one of the most beautiful gardens around, and so it's a lot of people that's just not used to doing that, right?
Yeah. I had a grandmother that had her own garden and, had chickens and pigs and stuff like that. But my parents were not gardeners, so we didn't get a lot of that passed down. But, that was one of the big draws for us 10 years ago to come to Costa Rica. because most of the time, I mean, most of our lives we lived in Louisiana. You were in the military, so you traveled, but I lived in Louisiana all of my life, maybe 5 minutes from where I was born the whole time. But then that last year we moved. Before coming here, we moved to Las Vegas for your work. Of course, we weren't in, what people think of as Las Vegas. We were out at the base of a mountain, away from the center of town. But the water was so terrible.
Oh my gosh!
And
Who knows what we were drinking out of Las Vegas?
We couldn't even drink out of the tap. So, we had good water in Louisiana. We had to have a filter, but oh goodness,
yeah, we had an extremely expensive water filter. Because like you said, water is just horrible. There's just not enough water there, and fortunately for us over here, it's just. We got the cleanest water around. It's absolutely amazing. I'll show some videos real soon about the water that just comes right out the rock,
So for me, that was a big draw, was to just not have to drink bottled water, or water from out of the filter, just to be able to drink clean water. And even though we had good water in Louisiana, you remember that time that we added water to our pond and it killed the fish because it had so much chlorine in it?
Yeah, well, I think it had more than just chlorine. But what Rebecca's talking about is when we were in Louisiana, I built her this huge aquatic pond. It was beautiful with the flowers all over the place, and we had koi in there, and it was just gorgeous. And obviously at all ponds they will drop a little bit. I just turned on the water hose thinking I'd fill it up just a little bit, and look, the fish started bellying up real quick because, of course, all cities will add chemicals into their water to try to clean it up. Now, oh man, that was horrible. Well, now I can add water to whatever we got here, and eventually we'll have a pond with fish and all that in it, and it's just going to be absolutely amazing. You guys will all get to follow along in that journey and watch as I build this stuff and show how to build some of this stuff as well. So,
but not all the water in Costa Rica is like that.
That's a good point you brought up. I mean, almost everywhere that we've been in Costa Rica, the water has been clean and we could drink. But like you said, some places, few places, the water is not super clean. So you do need to be careful. What places did we go to?
Well, when we were on the Osa Peninsula, of course, they had signs posted, "Don't drink the water." And I think it's because it's so close to the ocean. The salt water was mixing, like it was, what do you call it?
I can't remember. Brackish water?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And a couple of times in Esterios, there were signs posted. So it's mostly been coastal.
Yeah. If you're up remote or you're in the mountains, you can almost always drink water. The only places, you're right, that we couldn't drink good, clean water was usually going to be real close to the coast. And, most of the time in Esterios has always been clean. We've been there here recently a lot, haven't seen any signs, but it's usually either after a really bad storm or something like that,
Yeah,
but hey,
it's a one-time thing.
Yeah, it's not something that happens. Now, take a look at what Muka says. Muka says, couldn't drink the water in Cameron, Louisiana when she worked over there, or when he worked over there. There was a warning signs in the bathrooms not to even smoke because of gas in the water. And look, that's true because, they started, I think it's called fracking. And they're fracking there. I don't know how all that works, but a lot of that water, a lot of that gas ends up over in your water. I've seen videos where they literally took a lighter and could light the gas coming off of the coming out of the faucet. And take out what Ruth says. Just think you're drinking that water in Louisiana. Not anymore, but you're right. We definitely were. And but hey, thanks so much to Vike and Kitten there. Good morning, happy belated Thanksgiving, and hey, absolutely Thanksgiving to all of you guys. And hey, tell me if you do. We're gonna Q&A today. Obviously, we want to be sure to answer any questions you might have about Thanksgiving in Costa Rica, holidays in Costa Rica. But hey, we're more than happy to answer any other questions as well. Now, Brian said something here. Not quite sure. Might rephrase it. Brian says, did you work at 51? So not quite sure. Rephrase that question so I can answer it. Hey, we thank you for your kind words, Brian. We definitely really enjoy what we do. And that's why we take time out on our Sunday to kind of just relax, kick back, and spend some time with you guys.
Yeah, it really is true what you say. We just have a heart because we learn things the hard way, So things like, I don't know, seeing a really good piece of land thinking, you know, it's priced really well and everything, tempted to maybe get it, but then realizing, hey, there's cattle above this. So the water that's flowing down has been contaminated somewhat. And also the cattle, just from their walking, we've seen so many landslides. Anything that has the cattle walking up and down, they just break up the land, and the people, they clear the land for the cattle to graze, so there's nothing holding it. So anyway, my point is, you know, that was like, I remember us looking at a piece of property and going, wow, I'm glad we didn't buy that, because
well,
we
you know,
built right there, it was a big old landslide.
You know, it's exactly what you said. The whole reason that we do what we do, because I mean, we don't get paid to do this. I mean, we do greatly appreciate all of you guys. You know, if you want to schedule a free 20-minute phone consultation, if you want more than 20 minutes, you can, you can schedule a longer consultation. But, you know, and that helps supports the channel. Hey, whenever you reserve your seat to go to the relocation event, well, when you reserve your seat through our channel, well, you're greatly supporting Rebecca and I and all the efforts that we do to provide this information, because it is a ton of work to put on an event. And I most definitely could not put on the event without, you know, my team members like Sarah and Michael, because we all work together and put this thing together.
And the guest speakers,
you know,
because we can only speak about what we've experienced. And even though we've experienced a lot, I mean, we have not been everywhere, like where Michael's from. We've never even been there. So, you know, also there's areas of like legal and importing your things, you know, so there's things that we don't know about.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't know about. Like, we haven't yet to ship stuff here, but we've got an expert that talks about that. You know, hey, obviously I'm not an attorney, but we have that. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. You know, we've learned so much the hard way, and we've lost money, so much money by the hard way, that's the reason that we take the time to share stuff.
I mean, Sarah has helped so many people move here. She's, you know, really has that expertise in knowing how to get here. We moved here with 10 suitcases and our dog. And, you know, even when I speak to someone, they'll say, well, how did you get your dog over? Well, that was 10 years ago. So, you know, the laws could have changed. I always tell someone, go check out the website, the U.S. Embassy website for Costa Rica. And they will list, you know, just the current laws, what shots you have to have, what paperwork you have to have. You know. And, you know, that was quite the ordeal when we moved here with little Ginger, because it said that I had to have documentation from a veterinarian. Well, I went, got the paperwork, but like, I think it was 3 days before we were to fly out, I was talking to someone, and they said, that paperwork has to be signed by a
certain veterinarian, right?
It couldn't be just any veterinarian. They had certain vets across the United States that were designated to verify the paperwork. So at the last minute, we had to change running. Yeah, we had to change our flights. And because it was during a holiday, the veterinarian offices were closed. So anyway, that was quite the ordeal, and expensive, because we had to change our flights.
Absolutely.
But I was not leaving the United States without my baby Ginger.
Absolutely. Well, Brian clarified what he was saying. Did you work at 51? And he was talking about Area 51. Area 51 is this top classified area, you know, supposedly aliens in there.
Oh, that's because we said about working in Las Vegas.
That's right. And that's close to that area. So Brian was like, you know, did you work there? Do you have any stories? And Rebecca will tell you some stories that, well, I'm from Area 51. I'm one of the aliens.
Yeah, the mothership is coming for you.
That's right.
No, but he was the work he was doing was speaking at events, which is how we got a little bit of the training for the events that we do now. But it's funny how everybody will go to Las Vegas, you know,
for different events.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Companies have their annual, you know, we call it like continuing ed or stuff like that. So.
Now, Muka has a good question here, and it says, did you guys buy a vehicle there? I'm sure it's 4x4 for your location, right? And do you have electricity? Well, when we first came here, and I think that's probably a misconception, yes and no. When you first get to Costa Rica, you don't have to buy a vehicle right off the bat. Now, when we got here, obviously you got to get around, but you can get around with public transportation. Now, it takes a lot longer. It's a lot slower. You can waste a lot of time, but you practically can get anywhere with the public transportation. Now, we were in at the end at San Vito. So I was about to say, I mean, look, with the public buses, public transportations, the taxis, you can get everywhere. Now, years later, there's Uber, there's Didi, and so you can get anywhere, and you won't get ripped off from the red taxis in Costa Rica. But there's a lot of places where Uber and Didi is not available. You can get them in San Isidro. However, it's only during certain times and right there close to the city. So, but we did eventually, but we traveled for over 2 years without owning a vehicle, but we did buy a motorcycle. So we bought this little bitty, and the most popular motorcycles in Costa Rica are the little bitty 125s. I mean, that's the CC on it, 125, tiny thing. But look, I've seen a family of 4 getting on one of these little bitty motorcycles, right? Yeah. So Rebecca and I traveled all over Costa Rica for the first couple of years on a motorbike, and it wasn't until we started coming out to this property a lot that we decided to eventually buy us a 4x4, and we found us a 4x4, the 4x4 that we have now. 20 years old at that time, but it still ran good. It still runs good today, but it is falling apart, and we got to constantly get it fixed, So anyway, we spend a lot of money on that. But hey, we do have electricity now, but the only electricity we have, comes from our solar panels, and we don't have. The closest electricity lines as far as city electricity or government electricity is about 10 kilometers away. So about 10 kilometers away. And when we first came here, the closest electric line was about 20 kilometers away. So they put some poles up and went a little further. And so now the closest, actual electric line is about 10 kilometers away. So our electricity is only because of our solar panels. But soon I'll be doing a video talking about another source of electricity. And that's, getting your electricity from a water source, or having, aquatic source of power,
Yeah, that may be confusing to people sometimes, because like when you and Michael Allen are talking out, you'll say, when there's no water, no electricity here. Well, what he's meaning is there's no city or government,
no public water,
public services out this way. It just doesn't come out this way. So everybody that lives from the last electric line and the last water line, all those people just like us are getting their water from the river, and they're getting their electricity from solar.
Yeah,
some people don't even have electricity.
There's a lot of people in this area that don't have electricity.
Yeah, they are living by just their
candlelight at night,
and they're up. They don't have refrigeration because
they go to bed with the chickens, get up with the chickens. So there's we live that remote.
Yeah, the government did start giving every house a couple of years ago. Started giving every house that a little tiny solar panel. What does it power? Like one light bulb?
Well, I mean, so years ago, what Rebecca's talking about is Costa Rica had this thing that they were pushing out that everybody has electricity. And so they were going out and they were installing one solar panel on a house and one battery, and they run some wires, and it would give them just enough electricity for the evening hours. And, I mean, look, one battery, and it would only last for a few hours, but it was enough light that they could have light in their kitchen, just a few bulbs, only 3 or 4 bulbs, LED bulbs, of course. And, they could watch maybe one TV show. Okay.
And that wasn't for tourists or
no. It was only for the locals that lived here. And they didn't get that free. They got it installed free, but then they had to pay for the electricity, but they only paid like 2,000 colones a month for that minimal electricity, But anyway, but not everybody wanted it because they were quite happy with what they had, and they didn't want them going in there and installing that. But anyway, so that kind of just gives you an idea.
In fact, we have a neighbor that has just a Pelton for electricity, and so in the height of dry season, the river is so low that he can't get electricity for sometimes
that's right,
3
because
months. So he's living by candlelight at night.
That's right, because if a Pelton is just a turbine that creates electricity through water, and most of the peltons here are so huge it takes a massive amount of water to turn that thing. See, you can buy new ones, you know, the newer ones are smaller, doesn't take near as much, but you know, it is you got to learn how to set that up. Now I'll actually be doing videos on that a little bit. Now Randall asked a really good question. It says, if I buy land, well, how do I know if there's water? And that's a really great question. So, you know, before you ever, if you get your eye on a good piece of property, obviously the simplest way is to buy a piece of property that you can actually visually see water. Otherwise, the most important thing for you to do is to get with an attorney. Get with my recommended attorney, and then they will actually do what they have to do to make sure that you can have a water letter. And that's the most important thing. If you buy a piece of property without having that water letter, then you are practically screwing yourself. So you want to
build.
Well, you can't build at all without that water letter. Okay. Now that water letter doesn't mean you have water on the property, but it means that you can get water to the property. And whether that means through a natural water source or through a public city source, you know, some sort of water. But the only way that you're going to know is to make sure that you have an attorney do the due diligence on it to make sure that that property can be built on so that you can have water. Okay.
I remember Costa Rica is rainy season and dry season. So if you happen to observe, you know, go look at a piece of property that has this nice little creek during rainy season, that doesn't mean that it's going to flow during dry season, because there are several creeks on this property and on the way driving out that in the height of rainy season, it looks like a waterfall. And then in dry season, I mean,
yeah, in dry season, there's nothing there. And so I'll actually be doing a video real soon on how to find a water source on or near your property. You know, how to determine, would this be a good place to get water from for your house? So I'll be doing that real soon. I think I got that planned out for either next week or the week after, but I'll be showing you what I did, and I'll be showing you other water sources, and I'll be showing you a pelton that actually generates power, just to give you an idea so that you can get an idea about some of the water here. Now,
and you don't want to be downstream from a cattle farm or a plantation, a plantain or banana plantation.
Yeah, and so, you know, why don't you want to be downstream? So you're saying you don't want to be downstream from a cattle farm, a big banana plantation. Why is that?
Well, the pollution. I haven't seen it that much on this side, but remember when we stayed on the Limon side,
on the Caribbean side,
the Caribbean side, there were lots of plantations, and we would see the planes flying. And of course, we don't know what they were spraying. Maybe they were spraying
perfume or water, but I doubt it.
Environmentally friendly pesticides or insecticides, but we can only assume that. You know, well, I don't have to assume, because that river that ran the ocean, there's a big dead zone. I forget how many miles that dead zone is, but that's an embarrassing fact for Costa Rica. But there is a polluted dead zone where that river, and I can't remember the name of that river, but
it's a dead zone because of all that pollution, those chemicals that ran off of the banana plantations into the river, into the ocean, killed the fish. So that is horrible. Hey, Jennifer has a interesting, and I just love this question. We got 2 parking tickets in one day in San Isidro last summer. Where do people park? Yes, in San Isidro, it's a great place. However, it can be difficult to find parking. So what a lot of people do is they park far away from San Isidro, or find one of the few public parkings, and they park and they just walk all over the place to buy what they buy. Now, it's interesting because there's a lot of places where you got to have a ticket to park. So you got to purchase this kind of parking permission, and it's very cheap.
There are signs.
And there are signs, but if you can't read Spanish, you don't know that you're not supposed to park there. But the parking tickets are cheap. Okay.
Yeah. There are parking lots that cost, you know, so much per hour, and it's really cheap.
Yeah, it could be about $1 an hour, $1.50 an hour, and you could park in these parking lots. So look for those parking lots.
Yeah, you can look for those. And they don't look like much, you know, but they usually have a parking attendant, well, someone who's watching your vehicle for you. And there are lots of spaces that don't require the tickets, but the closer you get to the center of town, where there's lots of businesses, then you have to have the little ticket.
Yeah. Now, Randall asked so I hope that helps you out. Just find you a parking lot, okay?
Yeah. Or
there's
one
lots
that
of parking
doesn't have
lots.
the sign
Yeah.
that says that you have to have a ticket.
Now, Randall asked, do I need a special license to ride a motorbike? Yes, technically, you need to have a motorcycle endorsement on your license. My license from the United States has a motorcycle endorsement, has an M on there. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, and I'm not suggesting you do this. Anytime I've been stopped, which, I mean, it's these police checks, majority of the time they don't even ask for my driver's license. They just want to look at my passport. And so I've never ever had anyone stop and look at my license to see if I have a motorcycle endorsement. But technically, you're supposed to have a motorcycle endorsement on your license that says that you know how to ride a motorbike. Okay.
Costa Rica accepts your home country's driver's license for 90 days. I'm supposing it's for 180.
It's now 180 days, or they're in the process of changing it. I think they have already changed that. Okay.
And if you leave the country and come back, then that 180 days starts again.
So Jennifer asked a good question, and I'll let you answer that. It says, why did you decide to build a tiny house? Do you ever have friends and family come over to visit?
We have had friends and family come over to visit in the past, and we had room in almost all the other houses that we stayed in. We always had an extra bedroom. We always had a house that was at least 2 bedrooms. But with the tiny house, we're not in it yet, so that is going to be an issue, except that we have neighbors who have cabinas, and we're thinking that that's where they would stay. So it's walking distance to us. So that's our solution.
Yeah.
Plus, after we build this tiny house, we're planning to do an addition.
Yeah. So in reality, Jennifer, I've always wanted and we always have decluttered, because when I was in the United States, I think I had 3 houses, we just had too much stuff. And so we came down here and decluttered. And it's just us. And while I do want room for family and friends, right now I'm quickly building what I call the temporary tiny house. It's only 8 by 32, and we'll make it livable. And then once it's livable, I'll start building a much nicer tiny house that's going to be 10 feet wide by probably 30 foot long. And it will actually have 3 living spaces. So we'll have the bottom part that will be open air, outdoor kitchen, gym equipment. And then the first floor, which is 10 feet up off the ground, that's where our living room and our kitchen and all that will be. And then there'll be lofts on the 3rd level where we can sleep at, some sleeping lofts. So once we have the 2 tiny houses built, well, we'll have plenty of room for family that's going to come down here. Just in essence, we'll have 2 tiny houses. But hey, that's a great question, Jennifer.
Yeah. And when living in the United States, the last house, well, the second to last house that we lived in, it was like 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's just too much to keep up, too much stuff. So we just want something little. We really like the outdoor living. So we're going to make sure to have a nice size porch. I mean, like we do now, covered porch. We eat our meals outdoors. We pretty much are working outdoors.
We're outdoors all the time. It's easy to do here, right?
You can't do that in the United States, but here it's easy to live. I mean, I find it's easy to live in a small space because we have it open all the time, open air, and this barn doesn't have high ceilings, but the tiny house is going to have high ceilings, so that helps. But just to downsize, just to not have a lot to maintain, a lot to keep up, and plus the cost and the fact that you're building it, we couldn't build a
I mean, it's just there's a lot to be said for downsizing, and just kind of enjoying life and living outdoors. Here's just a real quick question. Let me know, how is the audio? Because Rebecca and I are sitting, and I do have a really good mic that picks up good here. Give me a quick comment, some input here. How does the audio sound? Does Rebecca sound too soft? Am I too loud? But give us some quick input so I know, okay? Now, while I'm waiting on those answers, hey, Kevin says, you're getting water directly from a spring. That's correct. But if you had to buy some kind of water filtration system, do they sell them? Yes, you can get some water filtration system. I'll actually be talking about that in those videos because, I can tell you where you should get water from the water filter, where you should get it at the best place. There's a lot of people getting it suggest getting it directly from the river itself. You should be at the mouth of the river or at the spring, but you can get it from the river. Well, then just buy you a whole house water filter system, or buy you a filter system that goes in just for your kitchen, and it filters out any contaminants before it gets to your kitchen sink. So yeah, you can get some filtration systems. They're not nearly as nice as those in the United States. So if you've got one that would be your favorite, or one that you prefer the best, I would simply buy it and bring it in my suitcase, okay? But they do have, filtration systems that are round, and long, and you can put different filters in there. So, yeah, you can get some filter systems here.
And there's probably much more of a selection on that kind of thing over in San Jose and
absolutely
in Liberia, where there's
a
concentration of green.
I love this question that Viking Kitten says. Should we bring one of our tractors? It has a backhoe attachment, post-hoe digger, etc., or is it just easier to hire someone? It is easy to hire someone, but to find what you need, like the post-hoe digger, etc., you almost will never find that. You can find somebody that might have a backhoe, but then to hire him, his tractor might break while he's on the site, and he ain't gonna know what to do. It's crazy. We've had tractors come here several times, so I really wished I could have brought my tractor here, because I had all of the equipment at my farm in the United States. I had every attachment you can think of. So eventually, I'm declaring that I'm going to buy a tractor, and I'm going to have all the equipment. So if you can bring one of your tractors in a container, I would highly suggest it be well worth it, especially if you wait until you get your residency and then you get the exemption so that you can bring that over duty-free and tax-free. You're still going to have to pay to ship it, but at least you could get it duty-free and tax-free. But yeah, I would, if I had to do over again, I wouldn't have sold my John Deere. I had a John Deere with a backhoe attachment and all kind of stuff. I would have never sold it if I'd have known I was coming to Costa Rica. But I didn't know at that time when I sold it. I sold it before I went to Las Vegas.
It's not easy to find someone with equipment.
No, it's very hard to find someone with equipment, especially where we're at. They would have to travel a couple hours, and it's no telling what they would charge. But yeah, I would definitely suggest that. And then, of course, Viking says, well, hey, do you have propane refrigerators and freezers there? Now, I've not seen one. Now, do they have that in San Jose? I really don't know. Propane is really big here, but I don't know. Now, we have seen that they have propane-operated dryers, okay? So they have propane-operated dryers. Do they have propane-operated freezers and refrigerators? I really don't know.
And the stoves and ovens.
Yeah. And of course, Muka asks, are you guys permanent residents or perpetuals? Right now, we are perpetuals. Do have a company that's working on our residency, and hopefully we're going to hear soon, because I got all of my paperwork. I was supposed to go pick it up this week and send my paperwork over to these people that's going to be doing our residency. And so hopefully we will be, permanent. Well, we got to go through the whole 2 years of being temporary, another 2 years temporary, but in that third year, we can file for permanent residency. So hopefully we'll be having all that process done soon. So, but yeah, right now we're still perpetual. Well, I'm not. I'm a digital nomad visa. So I got a digital nomad visa that I can just renew, but that's just been recent as well. See?
But, with the 180 days, that makes it so much better. That means you only have to leave the country twice a year. So I don't know. That's a pretty good deal, especially to come, if you're not planning to try to take advantage of the duty-free importation of your things. If you're just coming to find out if Costa Rica is for you, you wanted to, live in different places, I wouldn't even get my residency right away. I mean, it's expensive, and it depends. It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all, but you're right, though.
$2,000, but
right now, because they've changed it from 90 days to 180 days, I would highly suggest don't get in a hurry to get your residency unless you know without a shadow of a doubt, we've been there, we visited, we know we're going to stay there. Okay, get your residency.
Have to leave the country.
That's right. But you are going to spend a few $1,000s to get your residency. However, now that it's only 180 days, that's once every 6 months. It's like a little vacation. Just go out and have a good time, right? And I mean, we go, when we have to stamp out for either for you, well, hey, it's a 1-day trip. Go down there, stamp out, and come right back in. It's really simple. It's not difficult at all. It seems to get harder and harder sometimes, and the pandemic made it horrible to stamp out. Okay. But during the pandemic, we didn't have to stamp out, but it was right afterwards. It got to be a fiasco. That's a whole nother thing. But, I think, Rebecca, you're absolutely right. Now that it's 180 days, I would get no hurry to get my residency, because you can take your time and find out if you really, really do like, is Costa Rica right for you? Because maybe it's not. And if it's not right for you, well, then you've spent $4,000 or $5,000 to get your residency, and you could have saved all that money.
Yeah.
So
it's not that much for one single person.
Now, here's a good question talking about residency. Says, well, so how long does it take to get a pensionada visa? We're in Panama. It took us 5 months there, and we're thinking of moving to Costa Rica. Okay, in Panama, you can get your stuff relatively quick, a lot quicker than you can in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, the pensionada visa is the one that you can get the fastest. And I've heard of people that's gotten there in 6 to 8 months, but the pensionada visa is the one that you can get the quickest and the fastest. Okay, so that's good news. The other residencies do take a lot longer. I've heard many people. It's not uncommon for it to take 2 years to get your residency. To get your stuff. Okay, so it can take a lot longer in Costa Rica. Okay,
some of it has to do with the lawyer that you use, but a lot of it is out of the lawyer's hands, out of their control.
Yeah,
it's just the paperwork is submitted.
Yeah, I mean,
the government.
You do have to be very, very, very careful in finding a residency expert. Everybody says they're a residency expert. It's kind of like we were saying on the live today. Michael was talking about and ranting and raving and how so many people say they do this and do that, or they know Costa Rica, and they don't. They're just somewhere off in the middle of nowhere. So people come down here and they say, I know what, I need to make money, so I'll help people get their residency. They ain't got the first clue how to do it, but they're helping people. I mean, I know someone personally. He's a Tico. And he decided he was going to start a business helping people get residency. He ain't had a clue. He has no clue how to do residency. But you know what? You can meet all kind of people like that promise you the world and then don't deliver.
You have to be careful.
So you've got to be very, very careful. Okay. See. So, of course, Reckon asked that question we talked about. Have they figured out the driver license aspect yet after the 90 days? Apparently after 90 days. So, like what you were saying, it wasn't valid, but I think they're in the process right now of getting those. In Costa Rica, it's not uncommon that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. They have all these different government agencies, the driver license department, the government, and they just don't work well together. They don't play nicely at all.
They have an agency for each little thing, but we have read that they've come to the realization that, hey,
we need to get these together.
Yeah, we can't make it 180 days and then keep the driver's license. So, but the wheels of the government turn very slowly. So
yeah, the wheels of the government are sloth wheels, right?
Yeah.
And they just barely. So, but hey, you just have to know that in Costa Rica, the different government agencies, it's almost like a power trip. No, yes, I ain't doing it. And they fight each other all the time instead of working together. So it's important that you know that. And greatly appreciate Viking says, great information. Thank you. Okay. And hey, look, once again, if you know that you want to spend more time, you can always, in almost every video, you can just go in the description, you can click the link, you can schedule a free 20-minute consultation. If you need longer, you can schedule other consultations, so that we can, sit down, answer questions, help you understand what you need to do. We can talk about, is Costa Rica right for you? Is it not? Hey, do you want to come to the Costa Rica relocation retreat? Should you come? Absolutely. Well, maybe you don't think you should come because you've been here 2 years. But I can tell you, when I was here 2 years, 3 years, there was still a ton of stuff we didn't know, right?
Well, the connections are nice.
Having the connections are unbelievable. If you can just get the right connections, it'll save you thousands upon thousands. And hey, check out what Nebrock says. I think you got a fan. Nice to see you, Rebecca. The view is so much prettier now. What are you saying? You saying I don't look good?
Well, you're not going to call yourself pretty, are you?
I'm a handsome. Anyway, so hey, so guys, tell me, what would you guys do? Oh, you know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know of the people that's on our live right now, how many of you are living in Costa Rica right now? Put a great big old 10 in the chat box if you are living in Costa Rica right now. I'm kind of curious to know. We don't have a whole lot of people here. I think right now there's like 24 people. I'd like to know, of the 24 people that are here, just put in there 10 that you're living in Costa Rica right now. And put in a 5 if you've come to visit Costa Rica. If you have visited Costa Rica, put a 5. If you've been here at least once to visit Costa Rica, put a 5. If you're living in Costa Rica, put a 10. I'd be curious to know. But hey, we just, I know that when we're doing the lives every day, Michael and I, Michael is running 90-0. He really does do a whole lot of stuff because he has, Travel Costa Rica Now. He has Travel Costa Rica Now real estate. So he's always creating lots and lots and lots of videos. That's Michael's full-time job. For me, my full-time job is taking care of Rebecca. Her full-time job is taking care of me. And my other full-time job, when I'm not taking care of her, is to build the house. So we've got a little more time to be able to just answer questions, and we don't get to answer all of the questions when Michael and I are there. So this is a good opportunity for us to answer your questions, about whatever we talked about that day and other stuff. Okay. So hey, there's quite a few 5s in here. So if you take a look there, Nibrock says 5. He's been visiting. Ruth has been visiting. Jennifer has been visiting here. Rico has been visiting. Muka has visited. So of the people that's here, Reckon has been visiting. So of the people that's here, no one is living here yet. So hey, I'm kind of curious to know how many of you that are visiting, that are on the live today, how many of you just put a 1 in the chat box if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you want to live in Costa Rica. You visited and you know without a shadow of a doubt you want to. You're kind of making those arrangements, right? You're playing it out, but you know without a doubt you want to. Hey, put a number 2 in the chat box if you're like, well, I want to, but I'm not sure yet. I'm still researching, okay? So if you're still researching, you're not sure yet, put a 2. If you know without a doubt, I want to live here, put a number 1 in the chat box. I'm just curious. I'm trying to get some input. And hey, take a look at Reckon. Reckon says, yeah, I know without a doubt, I want to live here. Jennifer says, yeah, I want to live here. Nibrock says, I'm still checking things out. Nibrock and Kevin says, I'm still checking things out. Brian G says, hey, I want to live here. Hey, Ruth Greenlee says, I'm still checking things. Hey, that's good to know. This is good information. And look, probably I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I could say it again without a doubt. If we could go back and tell our younger selves what we need to do, without a doubt, we would tell ourselves to go to a relocation retreat. The one that we're doing. I wouldn't go anywhere else because we have found out from the other relocation retreats that they're simply just trying to sell you. They're not telling you the facts. They're not telling you the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're telling you what they think you want to hear. And so if I could go back, I would say, hey, definitely go to an event, right?
We didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, we didn't know at that time. I didn't know there was such a thing.
I probably would have searched on, done a Google search or something, but didn't even think of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Muka says that 1, but only half a year at this point, thinking Santa Ana condo where it's cooler and more social opportunities. So, there's so much to learn about coming to Costa Rica. And of course, that's why you're here. You get to ask questions. You get to get a little bit of feedback. And Viking says, hey, she's coming back in February to check out the Central Valley. So, hey, if you want to be in the Central Valley, it's going to be a lot of, you can get a lot of expats in that area because it's close. it is some really nice temperatures in the Central Valley, but and it's close to just getting all. It's close to a lot of amenities. While Costa Rica doesn't have a lot of stuff to do, yeah, they do have. There's a few museums there. They got a few theaters. I don't know if any of them are in English. But there's more restaurants. So there are things to check out. But I don't like the Central Valley because of the traffic. But hey, if you live over in Jersey or New York or LA, well, the traffic in the Central Valley is going to be nothing in comparison. So, you might be like, oh, this ain't nothing, right?
Yeah, it's very individual taste. The thing is, Costa Rica offers a lot. If you're wanting to live off grid, there's lots of property for that. Out in the mountains, there's still a lot of property available that's beachfront. If you want to live in the city, there's a lot of communities, gated communities, nice places, nice houses.
Yeah.
In the San Jose and the Central Valley area.
Well, check out, some of the different people are saying here, like Reckon says, we love higher elevations, at least 1,000 feet up, but we also like a little more southern. Dominical or further is our preference, and it's more rural. It's kind of more raw Costa Rica, right?
Yeah, when we first got here, Uvita was not developed.
Right.
I mean, it was
really a know nothing there.
Yeah.
About the only thing that was known was the whale's tail, right?
It was more of a tourist destination, but not big as far as foreigners living there.
And it's been up and coming now, and so it's getting better there. Check out, Rico says, I've been to many places in Costa Rica, and her love is the coastal. Her heart is in Costa Rica. Okay, so you just come into the Envision Festival in March. That's down around the Uvita area. Any advice? Just retired, and I'm on the fence about living part time there. Where? Okay, so the advice I would tell you, if you're kind of uncertain, and it's what I tell everybody, if you're not sure where to go, I would say start off in San Isidro del General, which is in the Paris de León area. And the reason I say that is because San Isidro del General is the second largest and fastest growing city outside the San Jose and metropolitan area. So they actually have a Walmart. It's the only Walmart south of San Jose. So it makes it easy to find things. And they do have great hospitals there. And so you can get everything that you need in San Isidro. So that would be my advice. I would come and be in that area. And if you're in that area, you're still only 1 hour away from the coast, and you're about an hour and a half away from Uvita area, which is where the Envision Festival is at. So, hey, while you're down here in March, come check out the Envision area. And look, if you're going to come down here in March, well, you might as well come around March 3rd and attend our relocation retreat. Come meet us, hang out with us, and really, you'll have a vacation of a lifetime. You'll learn everything that you need to know about Costa Rica. You'll get all of the contacts, and then you can go to the Envision Festival, check out San Isidro. If I were you, that is what I would do. That would be a game changer for you, okay? Game changer. So there's hey, look, check out our street says we're leaving New York September 2024 and heading to La Fortuna. So hey, that's a year from now. And La Fortuna, yeah, you'll get to meet Michael up there.
If it's the same La Fortuna, because there's a couple of La Fortuna.
You're right. You're right. There's
Costa Rica.
Where Michael's at. That's the most popular La Fortuna, but Costa Rica's not real original in their names. You can get a whole. Matter of fact, I think there's 3 San Isidros. There's only one San Isidro del General, which is in the Paris de León area, but then there's 2 San Isidros that are up north. Okay. Hey, check out. Kevin says, let me take a look here. I'm looking at the questions. Oh, no, it was Nabrak that says, what do you think of the Tinamaste area? Now, Tinamaste, what do you think about Tinamaste area? It's got a lot of gringos in that area, so prices are a little higher, but... It's
very popular because of the altitude, I think. I mean, it's just a little small town, but it's rural. A lot of places have an ocean view, but I wouldn't, if I had my choice, I wouldn't buy there, because even though the temperature feels good during rainy season, it's cloudy, like you can't even see. And what they they'll say an ocean view, but I mean, when you look out, all you see is the clouds. And unless it's just a really sunny day, you can't really tell the difference between the sky and the ocean. You know, I like to see what I call
white water.
White water. If I'm gonna have an ocean view, it's not appealing to me to just look out and I can't tell what's the sky and what's the ocean. You know, where's the break? Even though you're looking at the ocean,
now,
you get the idea. It's too far inland to have a really good ocean view, and to me, it's just too cloudy all the time. But a lot of people like it now because it's very, you know, a lot of gringos live there.
You got to keep in mind that Tinamaste is kind of halfway in between the coast and San Isidro. So they're 30 minutes away from the beach, so they can go down there and surf or visit the ocean. And they're 30 minutes away from San Isidro, where they can get everything they need. And so it's much, much higher than San Isidro, which keeps it very cool. But you've got, in the wintertime, you're constantly in the clouds, so you don't get to enjoy the view. In the summertime, you get to enjoy the view, but it's like you said, it's so far away from the water, you can't tell if that's water or clouds.
Yeah,
okay,
you don't have to have an ocean view. I mean, there's lots of places with just the valley views, you know, the mountain views. But what I'm saying is, if someone is selling a piece of property and they're emphasizing ocean view, you know, don't be fooled by that.
Now, you know, one of the things that Rico says that isn't there an amazing farmers market in San Isidro? And from my knowledge, San Isidro has the largest farmers market in all of Costa Rica, from what I've been told. I can't verify that fact. I like to just tell you my understanding. So from my understanding, they have the largest farmers market. I mean, you can just find anything and everything in San Isidro. And it's so large, it goes on for 2 days, on Thursday and Friday. So every Thursday and Friday, humongous area, tons of stuff, okay? So absolutely great place.
Great place to meet people too.
Oh, it is absolutely a great place because you'll meet a lot of people, and you can find out from them about finding places to rent. I always tell people, if you want to find a cheap place to rent, go to the farmers market, because you'll meet ticos and locals, and you can just find places that are very, very cheap to rent, depending on what what you're comfortable living in. Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of the places that we've lived in, most people wouldn't find that appealing. So.
Now, you know, R says, you know, have you guys ever lived near La Fortuna area? I know that Michael has, and I'd really love to get your thoughts on that area. So we intentionally have not lived in that area because it is a touristy area. You know, we intentionally did not go to touristy areas until last year. You know, while Rebecca was visiting family, I went and lived in Jaco and Playa Hermosa for 6 months. And I can tell you, everything was twice as much. Every time I turned around, I got the gringo price worse than anywhere in the world because there's so many tourists there. The criminality, the crime, and it wasn't crime as far as the bad crime. The crime was every time you turn around, you was overpriced, overcharged, overpriced, overcharged. I hated being in a touristy area. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was nice to be close to the beach, but everything. I mean, just a small house, unfurnished, was $600, and you know, we could live in the same type of house out here, you know, for $200, $300. So we intentionally have not lived there, but Michael has lived his whole life, or since in Costa Rica, in La Fortuna. Some people want to be in that kind of area, and depending on what you're doing. So La Fortuna is nice, but we've just chosen not to live there. So we couldn't honestly tell you anything other than touristy area, lots of expats, and you know, we hear from other expats that we talk to all the time that said, hey, it was too crowded for them. So that's all we can tell you there. Now, and she goes on to say, La Fortuna, we met great Tico, and speaking about prices regarding building a home, he told us that to build a house is roughly 550 square meters. How accurate is that? I can tell you that's absolutely BS, because there is no in Costa Rica, there's no way you can say it's going to cost 550 per square meter. It all depends on so many different variables. So in the United States, it's very common to say, oh yeah, it's going to be 120 per square meter, you know, $100, this, that, another. In Costa Rica, there's so many variables. There is no, what's the normal price? There is no normal price. So this guy just gave you some BS, okay? Or maybe that's what he can build a home for, okay? But unfortunately, I can tell you without a doubt, I have yet to find a Tico who's going to build a house right. So I would just caution you to do your due diligence when looking for someone to build a house. Now, I will say, in touristy areas, you'd find someone a lot easier than where I'm at. Where I'm at, you know, I would say it'd be almost impossible to find a Tico builder that can build something right. Just keep in mind that even in touristy areas, I'm not saying they're building it wrong. I'm saying they're building it the way they build kind of stuff. And
It's not that they're building it wrong.
well, that's what I said. I'm
I
not saying they're
know.
building it wrong. They're building it the way that they're used to building, and it's not at all how we're used to living.
Right. One simple thing. You're used to walking into a room and reaching for the light switch. For whatever reason, they don't always put the light switch where it's convenient. Several houses that we've been in, the light switch is behind the door. So you have to go into the room, shut the door, and then, you know, be able to reach the light. So that's a little thing, but if you're paying thousands of dollars to have a house built, you kind of want it, you know, little things like that.
Oh, it's not uncommon that you
or
walk.
like you said, the exposed
Yeah,
plumbing.
well, it's not uncommon to walk into the room and you got to walk all the way across the room because the light switch is on the far wall. It's like, why?
That too, or the outlets aren't. There aren't enough plugs.
There's almost never enough outlets.
Yeah.
You know,
like
so
the no P trap.
right,
For
no
the
P
plumbing.
trap in any of the plumbing. You know,
So then you have
you got the
sewer
odor
odor
coming up. So, you know, it's little things like that. And so it's like Rebecca is saying, I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. That's what they do to their houses. And because to them, you have to understand Ticos are functional. You know, it works. What are you complaining about? I mean, why are you complaining that the light switch is behind the door? Just go behind the door and get it. It's functional. It works. Okay. So why are you complaining that you can smell crap in your sink when you're brushing your teeth? It works, doesn't it? Well, I don't want to smell poop when I'm brushing my teeth. So it's functional. And you have to understand that. If you understand that, so that's why when I say a Tico says, oh, I can build you a house. Yeah, he can build you a house. There's no guarantee it's going to have P-traps. No guarantee that the light switch is a few inches from walking in the door. There's no guarantee that, you know, all that stuff. So I'm not saying, but hey, can some Ticos build it right? I'm sure there's some there. I just have not yet to meet one. Okay.
Well, and there must be, because we also have been at really nice houses, like staying at Airbnbs in the city in San Jose before catching a plane, or just vacationing, staying in really nice houses, and those houses were done really well.
Yeah, I mean, we have stayed in a few Airbnbs that was super nice. Those that were super nice were almost always in San Jose.
Right.
So
out
when
in
the
rural areas,
if you get it in San Jose, then you have builders there, and they're building some nice places in San Jose. Look, we have seen some phenomenal places in San Jose. You don't even feel like you're in Costa Rica, okay? But if you could find a builder in San Jose that's willing to come down to where you're at, you would be set up pretty good. Nibrock says we're getting ready to drive across. Oh, well, he says we're getting. That's what I was hitting. He's getting ready to. But he says, what area do you recommend that has temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees during the day? Well, here's what I suggest. I suggest you take and you. There's an app on your phone. I need to do a video and I'll show that app. But there's an app on my phone that gives me the actual location. And so I'm going to pull this up real quick just so that I can see the name of the app. And I think the app that I use is called My GPS Coordinates. Okay. And so if you take a look, and I'm going to put it up here, maybe we can get it to show. See, I use this app and it tells me the latitude and longitude. But if you can see, it says my altitude is 4,753 feet. That tells you. So if you have this app on your phone, you don't even have to have internet, and it will tell you the altitude. So I say, find you an area with altitude that is somewhere between 4,000, 5,000 feet, and you're going to have 70 to 80 degree temperatures, and it's going to really feel good. Okay. So check out what Reckon says, and laughing about what we're talking about. It says, our bathroom sink wouldn't drain properly, but it wasn't my house. Had two plumbers come in and couldn't watch what they were doing. So, yeah, it's just, that's the norm in Costa Rica. And so R, who asked that same question, said that this Tico has 4 casitas and was building his 5th one. He Airbnb'd them out, and we were on site while it was being built. It was built similar to the interior of an American home. So, and the best way to find out whether he's a good builder or not is actually go and stay in one of his casitas for about a week. Okay, stay in that casita, look around, take a look underneath the sinks, see if there's actual P-traps there. See if the actual light switches are right next to the door when you walk in, and, take a look at the outlets and see, is there at least one outlet on every single wall, or is only one wall have an outlet?
And look at the, what's the box that has all the...
Go look at the breaker box. Yeah. Go look inside the breaker box and see, does he have more than 4 breakers in there? Because, even a small house in the United States will be loaded with 20 breakers because you want to sort out, you don't want your breakers to be overloaded, okay?
Check where the plugs are, if they have the water, the plugs that are supposed to protect water. What do you call it? You know what I'm talking about, when it's by the sink in the kitchen or in the lavatory in the bathroom.
To have the right breakers, yes. It's the RFID, I think, breakers that anytime you have a plug close to water, you should have those types of electrical outlets. We've never been in a house that's had that, okay?
Check if the shower drains properly, or if water, so many of the places that we've rented, the water from the shower would not drain completely out. So I'd have these little puddles in the corner where it would stay wet, and of course it's already humid here, so there would be lots of mold.
Well, look, I promised Rebecca we would not stay more than an hour every time we do a live Q&A. Okay, and so we have been 1 minute over that hour. But real quick here, which I just thought was funny. I kind of like to end on a funny note because Reckon was talking about how the bathroom wouldn't drain properly, and he just couldn't stand to watch what they were doing. Okay, and he said that he had to interfere, and he had it fixed in less than 5 minutes. That's comical. That is very, very comical. That does happen a lot. So
in one house that we rented, we told the owners about the P-trap situation, and they were glad for us to be renting the house because it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But and so they did the proper plumbing. They
did. They went in there and they didn't fix the P-traps, but they went in and they put in a grease trap that kind of acted kind of similar to that. So they didn't fix it right, but they did something to try to make hope that we would stay there. So and of course Muka put in there, what I was thinking of was a GFCI. It's a GFCI plumbing there. So anyway, but hey,
why worry about that when your shower head has
electrical wires, right? And that's another thing.
They're just twisted with a wire nut
that might have freezer tape on it instead of electrical tape. But also you want to check and see, stay in his casitas and see, does he actually have hot water in there, or does he have a suicide shower? Does he put in real hot water? Okay, and so anyway, but hey, look, I hope you have enjoyed. If you've enjoyed this live Q&A with Rebecca, okay, now look, I know you enjoy the live Q&A with me, but if you really enjoy the live Q&A with Rebecca, put in a 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Put in a big old 10 in there if you really have had a great time visiting with Rebecca. We would like to know. If you thought it was just so, well, then put a 5 in there. Yeah, you got rights to your comments. If you really wish it was only me, put in a 1. But I know you love Rebecca, so hey, I hope you've enjoyed this Q&A today. We greatly, greatly appreciate you. And look, even after we get done with this Q&A, go down to the underneath and put in some comments in there. Help us out, because YouTube really, really likes interaction. They like your input. And Rebecca, take a look at all these tins, man. Look at Randall and Brock. Look at all these tins. Love you, Rebecca. Look at Jennifer. Woo! Jennifer put in 100. Kevin 10. So hey, we greatly, greatly appreciated you, and I'm glad that Rebecca is back on live with us. And because I know a lot of people.
My perspective is different.
Yes, her perspective is very different, So, but it's good to know because, I cannot tell you what it's like to be a woman in Costa Rica. I can't.
And we face different challenges. You're trying to buy stuff for the house and you're having to deal with car repairs and stuff. I get to just go to the farmer's market and go to the grocery and just, smile at people. So
That's right.
We have different perspectives.
That's right. So, hey, so glad that you guys are here. Can't wait to do this again next Sunday. I have no idea what we're talking about next Sunday, but we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. And look, I encourage you, join us at the Oddball Couple live broadcast. Got a lot of great things coming, but hey, join us for that live broadcast with Michael Allen. Jump on there, have a lot of fun, and then right afterwards, we'll be going to the Q&A right here. And so if you happen to be on that live Q&A with Michael and I, then it will immediately redirect you to here. But hey, we'll put the link up there so that you can easily click the link and join us for the live. And so, hey, our live broadcast with the Odd Couple is always at 9, and then we do this at 10 o'clock right afterwards. So, hey, thank you so much. We'll see you next week where we're learning more about living in Costa Rica and the off-grid homestead.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.